Today I'm going to give you a review of the new Hobby King Spirit glider. This is an interesting little glider because it's sort of the brother to the original Kinetic 800, which was an awesome plane, and a plane I kept around because it was just a lot of fun. Now this is sort of an upgraded version to the Kinetic 800, but has a lot of the same features that made the Kinetic so popular. It's an 815 millimeter wingspan, very similar to the Kinetic. It has a little bit of a thicker airfoil that sustains out to the tips of the wings, so the tip stall tendency is actually very, very good on this. The one thing that I do like about this is the fact that you can use a lot of different batteries. 2-cell is kind of out of the question, unlike the Kinetic. I think you probably wouldn't get enough thrust. 3-cell is pretty ideal, and you can fit up to an 850 milliamp battery in there. The majority of this video was taken with a Nanotech 850 3-cell just forward of the battery bay. Now, back to some of the features of the plane itself. There's a lot of plastic molded material within this plane that makes it very, very rigid, very stiff, but also have a lot of really cool features, like the battery bay on the bottom is a nice plastic clip. It's very easy to take on and off, and generally gives you a lot of room to play with within the fuselage. But also the wings snap together so you can easily remove them, and it's a very stiff snap together system, so it actually helps reinforce the wings. There's hard plastic skids over the servo horns on the wings, just in case you go down hard. But another thing that they can do with all this molded plastic is the full flying elevator. So by that I mean there's no hinged surface on the tail, on the rear edge of the elevator. Instead, the entire elevator, the whole surface moves, which gives you nice fluid motion, and it also gives you a whole lot of authority over the back end of the plane. So a lot of really cool features. It's a 4-servo design. You have 2 in the wings, 1 for the rudder, 1 for the elevator. They're using 5-gram servos, which seem to be working just fine. I haven't had any problems with the servos so far. The elevator is a little bit slow to move, but that's just because they have a like kind of a gear down effect with that flying tail. No problem in flight. It just seems a little slower than most hinged surfaces. They crammed a really good size motor in the front end of this thing and a good size sort of over designed ESC for this plane. So with the motor and the ESC all the way up there, with no battery at all, you're very close to the center of gravity, which is fantastic because that really gives you a lot of options. Not to mention the fact that the battery bay is basically right underneath the wing. So you can use something as small as maybe a 300 or 400 milliamp battery if you want to keep things light, or as big as about an 853 cell, and you'll get a little more of a hotliner performance, something with a little bit more inertia. But overall, I'm pretty impressed with this thing. The folding prop seems very nice. It comes with some extra plastic material if you decide to alter it, so you can actually put a nose cone on the front, take the prop off, and then actually put a sort of a rearward facing pusher setup that snaps onto the top right above the wing, which is a really cool option if some people want to fly this FPV. It's probably a little bit heavy for my personal taste as far as a micro FPV platform would go, but you know, overall a really cool plane. The magnets on the main canopy to take the front end off is incredibly strong. Definitely not going to be popping off in a crash. All of the hardware seems pretty in line. I don't have any flex in any of the push rods. No exceptional flex in the wings themselves. The wings are easily removable with two screws. That pops the whole wing apart. And then you can disassemble even the top wing into 2 wing halves with those plastic snaps. One thing is the ESC. It's a 20 amp ESC, which is great because this thing only draws about 11 amps at full throttle on 3-cell, which is why I said 2-cell is probably not an option. But on 3-cell, 11 amps, that's really not pushing very much. It's fast enough on that, but it has a 20 amp ESC in it, so you could probably go down to, like, if you really wanted to push this thing and make it very, very light and you're not going to be full throttle a lot, you could probably go down to a 12 amp ESC just to reduce some weight. Another thing is the ESC comes with an XT60 connector on it. XT60s are good up to 60 amps. JST is good up to, they say safely 10. I know that I've used them up to probably about 18. But you could pretty easily replace this with a JST connector, and I will do that myself instead of having to use an adapter, because almost every battery that's going to fit in this bay is not going to have a XT60 or Dean's connector on it. It'll have a JST. So overall, very nice little plane, a fitting cousin to the Kinetic 800 for sure. Very, very similar features, definitely made by the same people, designed by the same people, but upgraded a touch actually. It's a little bit of a nicer plane. I think it flies a little better too, and has some real power on 3-cell. It will go vertical until you drain your battery. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed some of the footage. If you did, please thumbs up, and feel free to ask me a question. I'll see if I can respond as quickly as possible. And if you have the answer and you see a question in the comments, then feel free to respond as well. So thanks for watching, guys, and have a great day.